All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course. We have to talk about the Trump Town Hall. My prediction this morning was, by the way, completely correct. And many other things. We have Coinbase getting Pepe'd. The baby, by the way, is upstairs with her mother. She's having a tantrum at the moment, so you'll probably hear a little bit of background noise, not going out for a walk. The weather's a little bit on the dreary side, so you do what you can do. The Democrats are worried. Trump is probably going to beat Joe Biden. I will be analyzing that after the town hall last night. We're seeing true 2016 form, and that's exactly what Trump needs, and so we'll be analyzing that as well. Please don't go up there, kitty. I've got enough distractions already. We have some chats here. Pax Littereef, Morning Clankers, Mrs. Tag. Sticks not only reads the news for me every day, but reminds me that I, too, have to sign up for my driving class. Yes, I'll talk about that briefly. Spaz out, Tonic Thumper Thursday. And by the way, I have pinned a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description. If you're watching on Rumble or Twitter. Orange Man Bad, keep in mind, still available. A satirical work about leftists having bizarre, degenerated fantasies about Donald Trump and then acting upon them in ways that they don't expect mostly. Apparently an excellent work, according to the esteem of people that are reading it, because it sold almost 1,000 copies and there's a shit ton of ratings on it already. Keep in mind, if you do buy a copy, I do ask that you rate it. Give it an honest rating. I'd rather have a 1-star rating here and there and for people to give their beliefs about the work. It helps with the algorithm over on Amazon. I think that it was time well spent. It's already paid off easily several times over in terms of time investment. Volume 2, by the way, coming soon. But I've got to finish the work against wokeness, the work on gun control arguments, and half a dozen other editing projects first. So it'll take a little time. By the way, first comment, Doubt Shadow. Can you post a link to the entire town hall? That's in the description. That's the first link in the description there. That is to the Rumble instance of the CNN town hall. There are a couple of garbled parts and some volume issues, but overall good. That will play a role in the analysis. CNN and the legacy networks have done their best to hide this town hall from the public, those that didn't watch live, because it was a goddamn disaster for CNN and for the liberals and a big win for Trump. That plays a role in the analysis I did this morning as well. Let me make sure that I'm live over on Rumble, though. It's important. Yes, indeed, we are live. And people can see you. There's 1,000 people watching your asshole right now. Congratulations. Lord of the Ree. What the fuck up is up, Denny's? Corporal Poon. Will Twitter help against honking elections? It'll be helpful. I don't think there's a willful attempt to help too much, but it'll be helpful because people can speak their minds more freely. I'm telling you, though, the one mistake Trump is making is he's not getting back on Twitter, but he can be stubborn sometimes with these things. Alien Baby, Trump can call himself a dog trainer now after leading that bitch at CNN around. Wookie Gremlin, hey Sticks, my wife and I bought your book and laughed all the way through it. Thanks for the videos. Also did some companion planting. Good. Yeah, plant an extra row. It's still the middle of May. You've got time for some hot weather crops and started indoors. You can get them at Home Depot. If you don't mind some GMO products there potentially. They're still tasty. They're grown in your soil and, got lots of sun and happiness. Sigil Stone 17. Morning, Clankers. Have you heard about the prisoner that escaped by riding a baby sheep? Authorities confirm he's on the lam. Machete-ish Records. Given the topic of your book, Adam Baldwin might do the narration at a discount. Yeah, he's into the weird shit. Anyway, first and foremost, we're going to talk at length about the Trump town hall. This is the only long-form analysis I'm probably going to do in this particular live stream because it's so important. CNN really fucking screwed itself. They were attempting to entrap Trump and get him on board there and Trump the Trump and stop Orange Man, and they failed in a spectacular and miserable manner. That's why this morning, what I did, for those that didn't see, this morning what I did was, instead of watching any clips from the Trump town hall on CNN, of course, in New Hampshire the other day, I went in dry and I simply looked at the legacy reporting on the Trump town hall. And what I found was that much of it had little to do with what Trump actually said, for the most, other than CNN's own fact checking, which is spurious at best, and many of their fact checks are themselves fact check worthy. We can get into that some other time. I'll do a separate video on CNN and their disingenuous nature perhaps tomorrow. They say little about it. Instead, most of the reporting, Vox, Salon, HuffPo, MSNBC, et cetera, they're dogpiling CNN for even hosting it, which was predictable. That's number one. But also talking crap about the moderator. Now, I would agree with them. The moderator was terrible because of political bias and because of on-the-fly attempts at fact-checking that in many cases were themselves self-evidently not true. They're approaching it from a different perspective and dogpiling her. So you didn't stop Trump. You didn't destroy him and his presidential ambitions. How dare CNN platform the evil orange man who does nothing but lie and commit treason and try to overthrow the country? He, at one point, was asked, for example, and I'll give a primary rating here to Donald Trump's appearance. I'll give him a 9 out of 10. He has the one problem of occasionally going off kilter and going off subject. When he's given the opportunity to make a big punch, he doesn't always take it. And this was not, by the way, everyone, a town hall. There were like 6 questions from the audience in the entire span of time. This was a debate against the moderator more than anything else. He was asked, and this was, I think, the best moment with regards to J6, with regards to some of the legal goings-ons there. And then he started shuffling around and he grabbed a paper out with some of his own quotes and one of the videos that was posted at the time prior to J6, completely undermining the media narrative. Another time he was asked about his energy policy. You know, Joe Biden is, he stopped Keystone and he, you've got the Willow Project, but otherwise drilling is hampered. Energy prices are relatively high, historically speaking, right now, although they did fall for some time. They're rising again. What was your energy policy, Mr. Trump? What would you do as president? What was his answer? Drill, baby, drill. I liked that one. He got acerbic. He called the moderator a nasty woman, which is, as some people are saying, well, he's misogynistic. Dude, he literally did that before. It's a meme. You are a nasty woman. That dates to the 2016 election. What are you talking about? How short is your attention span? Oh, wait, I'm asking that question rhetorically. In my opinion, Donald Trump did extremely well at this debate. He has, and that's what it is. It's not really a town hall. It was CNN setting him up and him dancing circles around them more than anything else. The only thing that he needs to do, as far as a debate strategy, is when you're being dogpiled by 3 or 4 concepts at once. So you can't really adequately respond to them all without going off kilter. You need to listen closely, be silent at that moment. That's hard for Trump to do, admittedly speaking, and focus on the argument that your opponent is making that is the weakest. That's the way that you win. You focused on the weakest argument that they're making, and then you elaborate upon it. Well, you're making points A, B, C, and D. Point C, I know that I can refute. I can dance circles around you. The other points, a little bit less so. So I focus on that. When I'm making my rebuttal, I focus on C. This is what I do during debates, by the way, which unfortunately I haven't been able to have time to do lately. When I'm debating, one of the most important things you can do is deflect the rather dishonest thing that your debate opponents often do, which is try to dogpile you. They pile up 5 or 6 different points at the same time. You can't adequately respond to them all, but you can choose which ones you respond to. You can then zone out effectively and think of how you're going to do that response. That's what Trump needs to do. That is my only problem with him. And this was a problem in 2016, by the way, for Donald Trump. His problem is that he gets bogged down in talking about what the other person has talked about most recently. So whatever last point they make, he tends to fixate on. I've noticed this. It's a linguistic pattern within his debating. He needs to shake that habit. Somebody close to him that's helping him do debate prep needs to approach him with this concept. Don't get bogged down. Don't get stuck on whatever was most recently said. Think long and hard about each individual point they're making and then rip them apart. That's what you need to do. I know I'm giving a former president of the United States debate tips here, but I am qualified, I think, to do so. It's a strategy that makes sense. The counter strategy is being employed by the moderator, so-called here, and Biden will do this during the debates if he has the mental cognizance to do so. We'll wait and see if there are any debates between Trump and Biden, but I think he has effectively secured his renomination as of this town hall. I think it helped him greatly. The DeSantis fans are not happy about it, which is why they're defaulting, much like the liberal media is ignoring what was said in favor of simply dogpiling CNN for holding a town hall at all, or the moderator for not destroying Orange Man. I see a lot of DeSantis fans saying, well, how dare Donald Trump go on the Legacy Network? He called them fake news, but then he's giving them ratings. That's kind of the point, my dude. It's called strategy. He went into the lion's den. He made a fool of them. And he won. And you're salty about that because you don't like Donald Trump. That's the long and short of it. You don't have to have a problem with Ron DeSantis to understand that that's your bitch about the situation. Let's see. Many more comments. The Patriot Cairo, can you please explain what the Chad Garden was? It was the opposite of the Chad Garden. It's the Chaz Garden, the autonomous zone that was set up by Antifa and BLM back in Portland years ago. And they ripped out a city park, a little green area, and they started planting crops, ostensibly to feed themselves or the local poor or something. And if you look up Chaz Garden, C-H-A-Z, you'll find plenty of cringe material there. It was terrible. It was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my goddamn fucking life. The memes about it were profuse, and there were millions of them probably. It was, as a person who understands how to grow things, who does home gardening, they were like putting down on waterlogged soil, by the way, strip soil. They'd strip back the sod, and then they would put in some dirt. And then they put cardboard down, non-degraded cardboard, so this is an impermeable layer. And then they put the vegetables right on top of it, ensuring that they get root rot, filling around them with potting soil. Please just look it up for yourself. It'll explain everything. When you see a couple pictures of it, if you know anything about growing plants at all, you'll understand why it was funny. High pot thesis, make Kekistan great again. Lev Polyakov, good morning, Sticks. I met a guy named Bird who has Warwick ancestry. His dad lives near Rutland, and Bird says it's likely he taught you guitar. I don't know how to play guitar, so that's unlikely. Yeah, interesting, though. Are you sure you don't mean Rutland in England? Mike Stelzer. Hey, big bro. I'm going to Amsterdam November 14th to see Leibach, but I don't speak Netherlands. Can I get by, or do I need to learn the language? You'll be fine. Virtually everyone in the Netherlands, especially in Amsterdam, speaks fluent English, so you should be fine. The signs are mostly half in English, too, actually, for tourist purposes around the capital. Big boy. Orange man. Good. Hair Juicer 3000. Our 12K plate scanner cameras have been installed at the few exits of my city. Police chief says, don't worry, face recognition isn't connected. Odd. Yeah, very odd, isn't it? Cynic in Chief, I'm writing you in for president if Vivek Ramaswamy, Trump, and RFK Jr. aren't on the ballot. Nobody else is worth a damn. Yeah, if Trump is somehow not the nominee, and RFK Jr. is all right, but he's got no chance, yeah, I'll stand for president, I guess. I'll make a suicidal run and get 1,000 votes probably by making one fucking video. So fire down below. Are you still optimistic that some of the honk states of 2020 are now defortified? Yes, several of them are, and several of the others partially so. There's a lot more work to do, though. Go and check out Scott Pressler on Twitter. He is the man to go to when it comes to on-the-ground grassroots strategy. You're going to get it better from him than from anyone else. Go with Scott Pressler and take his advice. He knows what he's doing. The intern of war. The media is also losing it to protect the jackboot thug that killed Ashley Babbitt. They are even trying to make it a race thing. Lol. Yeah, that was another high point during the debate when Donald Trump called out the officer that killed Ashley Babbitt, who was unarmed. She was breaking no law other than the misdemeanor of trespass at the time, and got shot and got killed. And Congress gave a standing ovation to the person who killed her, which was demented in every way. Trump has shown his true colors on this. He is standing with the people who peacefully protested on J6. Now, he came up short. There are two nuances here, by the way, with the Trump town hall. First, on J6, he refuses to say whether he would pardon everyone that was involved with J6. That is wise. There were people that were there that were armed, that were assaulting others, that were vandalizing, that were actually committing crimes. The corpus of them were not. They were peacefully protesting. They were involved in what can be conceived of as a riot, but they didn't do property damage. They didn't assault anyone. They didn't break and enter. They were invited into the Capitol. They should be pardoned. That's 85% of the people there. They did nothing that would, under normal circumstances, be considered legally actionable. I believe that Trump is going to make good on that if reelected. I do believe that he will pardon those individuals. Probably not going to pardon the seditious Proud Boys crowd, but somebody who went in there and took a couple selfies and left, they should not be in solitary confinement for several years. It's excessive. It violates their right to a speedy and fair trial. It violates their human rights. Fucking Geneva Conventions being violated by for some of the J6 defendants at this point. Number two, on abortion, actually. Donald Trump, as I stressed years ago, is not a hardline evangelical. This is not a religious man. His God is the dollar and his ego, which can be useful in many cases. He wants to do good because he wants the applause for it. He is not a hardline evangelical on abortion. And he alluded to this, and this goes back to the concept that Donald Trump has one weakness with debating. He doesn't elaborate on his point to the point where the average person, a fence sitter, you're not trying to convince Trump superfans. You're not trying to convince the average Republican partisan. Most of them are on board with whoever the nominee is. You're not trying to influence strongly right-leaning independents. You're looking at fence sitters, people who genuinely, they're like, well, Donald Trump has some good points and bad points. Biden, he has some good points, bad points, mainly bad, but they're on the fence for some reason. You're trying to convince them. When he meandered into abortion, he stopped short of saying that he would sign a national abortion ban. And I know why, because he wouldn't. He would not sign such a ban. What he should have said was, I will look at the legislation as proposed, and as chief executive, then make my determination. It depends on what that actual law says. When he brings up the concept of Roe v. Wade ending and therefore pro-lifers gaining negotiation capabilities, what he is alluding to, and I wish that he elaborated more on this and said this verbatim, is that he is in favor of keeping abortion legal in the first trimester, in the first 8 weeks, with certain exceptions for medical complications or rape thereafter, but that he does not believe, and he points this out, that 9-month abortion should be legal. That is a sane view. It's the norm within most of the civilized world. It's a view that is a compromise between Northam and fucking Billy Graham. And that's what Trump represents. He represents an old reformist mind from the 80s and 90s. He does not represent evangelical, televangelical, far-right moralism. And people need to understand this. If you're on the far right, naturally, between Trump and Biden, probably choosing Trump. You're not choosing a moralistic purist. He does not go to church regularly except for show. He is not a religious man. I can see right through him. When he claims Jesus, I understand that that's for show, and that's fine with me. You're whining and dining a voting bloc, whatever. Just like the liberals, some of them, they genuinely do believe in a God, but for some reason they also go far left and pretend that they're basically Fidel Castro atheists. But with Donald Trump on abortion, while he didn't make the pitch as completely as he should have, and that's the problem in this particular town hall. This is one of the reasons he gets a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10, explaining himself fully. He did well enough, and I get the insinuation. I know where he's coming from. I think other independent voters, which I am one, generally speaking, will understand where he's coming from. So on abortion, I'll give him an 8 out of 10 on explaining that. I get it, but you need to retool your message slightly for independent voters that generally, as an aggregate, are more intelligent than their partisan contemporaries, but they may not fully understand where you're coming from. Just say it out plain. Tell the evangelicals, look, we're not going to be able to nationally ban abortion. We branded this as a states' rights issue for years and years and finally won. Now it's time to negotiate something that people can live with. You get some of what you want. They get some of what they want. We're not going to ban it completely. We're also not going to allow people like fucking Ralph Northam to tear babies out of the goddamn uterus when they're already viable. We're going to have a compromise because that's what you have to do if you want a properly functioning republic. Fit and fire. I don't like the fact that Trump referred to the Second Amendment as a privilege. He did not actually do that. Fact check, mostly false. He needs to better understand the concept of the Constitution. Yeah, but he didn't do that, actually. I watched the entire town hall only an hour ago. The Patriot Cairo. Oh, yeah, in Portland, losers. Total fail. Yeah, their lettuce did so well. James Willis, Trump delivered record debt and poisonous vaccines. No, not really. But I did oppose the Rescue Act that he put forth that was based partially on the lockdownerist sentiment at the time, which was not Donald Trump's doing. The state of emergency allowed it to happen, but he did not coerce that particular thing to occur. That was mainly blue state governors trying to screw the economy prior to the election. Josh Eternal. What's your opinion of NAC? I beat the coof with them. I don't know what that is, actually. NAC. The Patriot Cairo. Tuck needs to use new platform to interview Trump. Yeah, he should get on Rumble, too, not just on Twitter. Multi-stream, Tucker Carlson. Somebody get the news to him. Yes, you are actually capable of streaming on multiple platforms at once if you have the right program. I use StreamYard myself. Don Browning. Make the cat angry again. Love from the Scrubs. The cat is angry every time I stop petting her. Oscar Gonzalez, Sticks. Don't forget the Chaz Garden martial arts dude stepping on the plants. Yes, the dude that was clearly tweaking, and he had like a wooden pole, and he was dancing around and going crazy and doing gymnastics or Tai Chi or some shit. Very helpful. Dragon Ice, Lake of Fire. Trump supports Putin, a wanted war criminal. Yeah, I hear that commonly. It's not true, but yeah, there are plenty of people that claim that. Recession proof. Can you please talk about the mess in Haiti? Gangs, massacres, extreme corruption right next to the U.S. and it keeps getting worse. How does it get fixed? It doesn't. Haiti will never be fixed because Haiti's a shithole. Haiti has had all of its infrastructure destroyed. It doesn't have any significant natural resources. It's heavily, densely populated and tiny. It is never going to get better because there is no force in the world that's going to be willing to genuinely invest the time and necessary equipment and material to improve it. Haiti will have to stand alone, which means it will remain sub-third world. You might as well abandon Haiti. The Tunnel Show. Sticks, you've got a bunch of occult works out. Are you a practitioner as well, or is your interest purely academic? Also, got Orange Man Big. Hilarious. Yes, everyone, link in the description to Orange Man Big. Available on Amazon. Please leave a rating at least if you buy a copy. I am a practitioner of the occult. Yes, I believe in literal magic. I believe in literal demons, just not in the Judeo-Christian conception. Celeste, I'm having hope again. Trump is back to 2016 form, agreed. Wonder if Biden will dare to debate him. Come on, man. Yeah, even odds are that Biden finds some excuse not to talk to him. Eric Basil, Hunter's boofs Bud Light out of Peter-ended beer bong. Terry T, if the moderator put that much pressure on Joe Biden, he would have started yelling like Charlie Brown's school teacher and keeled over with a stroke. Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to keep up with that. Michael Cricklow, I wish Trump was a better public speaker. Sheesh. He's an okay public speaker. He just tends to go off the rails sometimes. That's the biggest problem with his public speaking skills is getting distracted. Devin Frazier, at least Styx's cat isn't named Vagina. Yeah, Gene Carroll was brought up during the proceedings. Not that Brandon. I got my copy of Orange Man Big a couple days ago. Hilarious. I left a rating and review on Amazon. Thanks for such a great laugh. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Lord of the Ree. Did you hear about the pretzel that got mugged? The police report said he was assaulted. Hey, I'm supposed to do the dad jokes here. What are you doing? Sigil Stone, I heard the following this fiasco for CNN. The FCC is going to require them to rename to BNN, Bitch Slapped News Network. Yeah, they did get bitch slapped. Nick Ray 47. This was one of Trump's best moments in politics. Can't wait for 2024. It was high energy. It was definitely high energy. Next news story, by the way. since we've dedicated almost 25 minutes to Trump's town hall. Coinbase calls Pepe a hate symbol, prompting calls to boycott the exchange. This was trending earlier, and I thought it was newsworthy because, you know, Coinbase is fairly large within crypto. It's fairly important as an exchange. And they sent out an email the other day. And the Pepe community is a meme coin, so I don't really care about meme coins. I've got some Doge, but I don't care about meme coins in general. I don't purchase them. I'm mainly all in on Bitcoin. I do hold crypto. By the way, disclaimer, nothing that I'm saying here is financial advice. I'm just telling you I do have several tens of thousands of dollars worth of cryptocurrency, mainly Bitcoin, some Ethereum, and a few others. So I won't be buying Pepe coin. It's a meme coin, ergo it's worthless in my opinion. But when Coinbase comes out and their way of countering the meme coin is to say that Pepe is a hate symbol because the ADL says so. Read the room a little bit more, Coinbase. Crypto is associated in large part, not completely, but in large part, with groups that are on the ideological right or which lean libertarian. When you therefore quote the ADL with regards to a fucking meme coin, don't you think that's not going to go over too well? You know, there are other exchanges out there that people are capable of putting their crypto on and using. You are not a monopoly and you suffer from that. And so they are suffering. For several hours, deleting Coinbase was trending. As far as Pepe coin, in my opinion, Pepe is not a hate symbol. I'll get that out of the air first. It's not a hate symbol. It's the fucking cartoon frog. Originally Sad Frog, based on cartoon from what's his name, who sued over it copyright-wise and didn't even realize 99% of the attention you've gotten in your life was adaptations of your shitty cartoon. And you literally, you helped to create a movement unwillingly. You politically disagreed with it, so you decided to sue and make a little bit of moolah, I suppose. Wonderful for you. But anyway, who cares what the Anti-Defamation League says? There's no truth there. So the SPLC agrees that this is problematic. Well, I mean, who cares? BLM thinks that this person is a racist. Okay. Which one of the hundreds of millions of people that they label racists are we talking about? They really screwed the pooch with this because they didn't read the room. Again, the liberals have been waved away from crypto by all of their favorite propaganda networks, by all of their friends. Crypto is Nazi, crypto is a scam, crypto is a terrible thing, crypto will destroy the economy. They've been warned away from it. So the NPR mug holding sweater-wearing liberals, they don't generally hold crypto. If they do, they don't talk about it, so they're not adding much to its oomph. They don't want to be known as that dude among their friends circle. And so a green frog, a literal cartoon, is supposedly, supposedly a hate symbol, according to the ADL. But they think that milk is a hate symbol because 4chan trolled them. They think that this is a hate symbol because they got trolled, again, mainly by 4chan. Chatelet, everyone. I would buy some Pepe coin, but I'm not into the meme coin thing at this time. I think I'll stick with the older school, like Bitcoin and shit like that, as more useful, as more guaranteed, in my opinion. Again, disclaimer, not fiscal advice, not to completely go to zero or something, because I've got a family and I do have some value in crypto. It's a fairly significant amount. It's over 20 grand. You know, to some people, some content creators out there, like, 20 grand. I give that out as a prize yesterday on my latest exclusive video. When you have a family, you have to be more prudent than that. That being said, I'm not going to invest in Pepe coin, but it shouldn't be called. I mean, why even fucking send the email is what my question. Why would you even bother doing that? And by the way, isn't it slightly damning when a crypto exchange decides to dump on a crypto that can be exchanged by insinuating that it's hateful in nature or something? Isn't that a little bit like a monopolistic practice, anti-competitive? Can Coinbase be sued for that? Unfortunately, probably not in the wild west of crypto, but maybe they should be. Fit and Fire, if they did not have the privilege of owning a gun of some form, many of them wouldn't be alive today. Privilege shouldn't be used for gun owns. Yeah, but he's not talking about privilege as in it is a granted privilege. He's talking about privilege as in it's accessible. It's fairly clear. Melissa Smith, thoughts on Trump pulling out printed out tweets? I couldn't help but laugh. Yeah, I liked that. I'm just hoping that he now goes back to Twitter and starts making more tweets. Eric Basil, RFK Jr. needs a 2024 DNC debate with Biden. He will not get it, even if he were to get to 40 points in the aggregate. They've suspended the debates. They're not going to have them. There might be off-hook debates by third parties, but Biden is under no onus to show up, and he probably wouldn't. He doesn't want to debate Trump. He doesn't want to debate anyone. He doesn't even want to talk to the people around him that like him because he's incoherent. He's demented. Slab, war crimes is such a meaningless term. Same with international law. It can be meaningful, but I mean, the thing is, when people claim that Putin is a war criminal, okay, has there been a trial? Number one, no. Number two, does that have anything to do with the United States conducting diplomacy with a nuclear-armed nation with a major economy? No, it really doesn't. It's different from a third world. It's different from Khmer Rouge, Cambodia. It's a significant economy with significant resources. Sometimes you have to come to the table and talk to people. You can't simply badmouth them over and over and over again and expect to conduct meaningful diplomacy. Trump knocked it out of the park with regards to the war in Ukraine. Hey, I want to stop the war first. We stop it. We stop people from dying. And this is almost sounds like a Democrat a la the 90s when he's saying this, like matching up against Bush in 2003, perhaps. Almost sounded like Kerry in one of his more lucid moments. We got to stop people from dying, and then we hammer out the details later. Stop the war. I like that. I'm anti-war. Ergo, I support Trump on that issue. The Patriot Cairo. Notice not one question last night was about Trump's legal matters by the audience. Only the media asked those questions. People know the charges are BS. Yeah, I think he only got 6 or 7 actual questions from the so-called town hall audience. 90% of the entire core of what he did the other night was simply being lambasted by the moderator and holding a de facto debate with her. It wasn't really a town hall. It was a setup. Trump knew this. He said, fuck it. You know what? I'm too far ahead. I can't lose. I'm going to go in. I'm going to browbeat him. And he did fine. He was in his element. You could tell he fucking enjoyed the town hall, so-called. Jared Pierce, the ADL operates as if critical legal strategy was already law. They are a shakedown organization. They make their money that way by bitching and complaining about things that are nonsensical. Toxic Mix, probably the most blatant display of moderator bias I've ever seen. Lost count of how many times she insisted on reframing his answers. Oh, I faced that with Jessica Burbank. Progressives love to do that shit. Framing his perfect response on the Ukraine issue as pro-Russia was pure cringe. Yeah, stopping a war is pro-Russia. Stopping Russians from killing Ukrainians is, according to CNN's moderator, it's pro-Russia. Putin benefits from that. Occam's razor, isn't Pakistan the world's only Muslim country that's also a nuclear power? Yes, actually. Although the UK is, at some point in the future. Sigil Stone, interesting. Coinbase bows to the ADL on the same day the ADL is vetching about the anniversary of Germany burning down Magnus Hirschfeld's temple to sick fuckery in 1933. Sparky, the elites, the squares are even way more out of touch these days than they were in the 1960s. Yeah, I would say it's more than comparable, yeah. BW, Republicans need to make disqualifying to refuse debate. Yeah, that would be fine. Jeff Moss, Sticks, sign up as a Brave creator so we can tip you our bat. Brave is a good browser, but I've gotten used to Opera, so I'm going to keep using that. I do actually have Brave on the computer, though, as a backup. Cunning Patriot, sending $50, by the way. Thank you very much. Hey, Sticks, yesterday in one of your videos, you said, okay, like Mr. Van Driesen from Beavis and Butthead. And then I realized you kind of look like him, too. Either way, thanks for everything you do. Thank you very much. Beavis and Butthead, by the way, excellent series. One of the best, actually, that I've ever seen. Next news story. Democrats have a sinking feeling Trump could beat Biden. Just to gloss over this real briefly, because I don't really give a shit about the Hills article on the subject. Just to be clear, everyone, Trump can actually win. Defortification has taken place in several of the competitive states. Biden is deeply down in the polls, although the latest ABC News poll, you should put some stock into it, but not too much because it is technically an outlier and it's a one-off. So wait for a couple of more polls for potential corroboration. Based on what I see currently, I see a negative socio-political / diplomatic trajectory for the United States. I see a negative economic trajectory. And Biden isn't getting any younger, and he's not getting any more coherent. If all of these things remain unchanged, it would be almost impossible for Biden to win absent honkening. And honkening is not assured in the 2024 election like it was in 2020. It's not assured because states largely control their own election systems. COVID is no longer a pandemic recognized under U.S. law, so that can't be used as an excuse to grant prolific access to mail-in ballots. It's being pulled back. And so there are enough states that have defortified and or otherwise competitive for Trump to be able to win. I do believe that to be the case. They are worried. Do you think that they're indicting him on a bunch of bullshit for no reason? They don't want to rock the boat that much unless they have to. They're doing that because they're not confident in their own capabilities. So I just wanted to gloss that over really quickly for people that are black-pilled. You should stop. Anti-Piracy League got off night shift, spent an hour and a half giving my black female coworker her first doses of the red pill. She was actually interested. White pill. Yes, white pill and red pill, everyone around you. Shit's fucked up, but don't get demoralized by it. Try to self-improve. Learn a new skill, etc., etc. Sparky. Few, if any, of the bad things that Putin is accused of are true. There's been a steady stream of NATO anti-Putin propaganda for 20 years. Putin derangement syndrome existed long before Trump derangement syndrome. Well, Russia did invade Ukraine, just to be clear. That doesn't mean that you don't have to conduct diplomacy. If you want an end to the war there, it's clear that simply insulting Vladimir Putin's not going to fucking accomplish it. These people want the war to go on longer because it's making them money. That's basically all it's about. It's a proxy war in order to make money. I wonder if Halliburton is invested in it like they were the Iraq War or Afghanistan. Probably. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. BlackRock's Vanguard's probably involved too. Hey, when all the homes have been destroyed in Kiev, we can build new ones, and then we can rent them out to people. Next news story. The explosive new evidence of Biden family's breathtaking corruption. Yes, $10 million. This is according to Comer. I talked about it yesterday, but this is a new release and it deserves mention. Joe Biden and his inner circle appear to have made over $10 million in questionable income over the course of the years that he was vice president. Documents have been subpoenaed. And what it looks like is that business associates laundered it to Joe through family members and close associates in order to hide the fact that it was illicit money. So, for example, if let's say that I wanted to donate more than the legal amount to a political campaign. I've already donated my $2,000 or whatever it is to Joe Schmo for Congress. I can't donate anymore. It's against election law. But then I give $2,000 to my mom and $2,000 to my dad and $2,000 to my sister and $2,000 to you and $2,000 to, Goofy over there. And say, look, keep a stipend, keep $100, give the rest of it to Joe Schmo for Congress. I'm skirting election law. I'm not technically sort of breaking the law, but I'm coming awfully goddamn close to it. That appears to be what happened with the Biden crime family. They're all in on it. We know that they're corrupt. That's beyond question at this point. There's no question in my mind that they're corrupt. Just look at some of the decisions that Joe himself has made, or Hunter, the whole idea of screwing your dead brother's ex-wife and then cheating on her with a stripper, getting the stripper pregnant, and then using your art, allegedly, according to an actual fucking court, to hide your real wealth and your real income, your art gallery, in order to lower your child support. Yeah, that's such a stellar character. Joe really raised a good one with him. When he says, by the way, that he's proud of his son, he never uses Hunter's name. That's because he's talking about Beau. He's not proud of Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden's just a useful idiot who can't control himself and fucks everything that moves and smokes crack all day. And Joe knows this and is not proud of him, but will not use the name in order to convince the public that he stands by his son, the one that didn't get brain cancer. Anyway, this is effectively, at least straddles the line of money laundering. And under normal circumstances, I would say, okay, if you put two and two together, there appears to be guilt, but we have to wait for more corroboration, testimony, etc. I'm just going to use common sense here, though, and say where there's smoke, there's usually fire. where there's an enormous amount of smoke and fucking flames and fucking trails of cinders and fucking screaming, burning animals and fucking burning trees, yeah, that's a fire. We're just going to, it walks like a duck. It talks like a duck. It's swimming around like a duck. It tastes like a duck when you fry it up and eat it. It has feathers like a duck, and it is a fucking duck. At some point, you just have to be using common sense and say it's self-evident that this is actually factual. That's what I believe with regards to the Biden scandal and the money laundering. Let's see. Chris Newell, review that debate. Trump absolutely used the word privilege instead of right when talking about gun ownership when talking about crime in Chicago. Yes, but you have to look at the context and nuance of how he used that specific term. He was talking about people being deprived of the privilege because local laws that supersede the Constitution, somehow, even after Bruin, do deprive people of that fact. The right is irrelevant because it's not recognized. That's the nuance that is lost when we're talking about that. I see people have a sort of hang-up about his use of the term privilege there. It's a colloquial usage, though. Again, I've studied linguistics enough to understand what he means. I can read between the lines, and with Trump, admittedly, sometimes you have to do that. King of Biltong, good morning from Antons in Roanoke, Texas. Hashtag Clank Nation. More meat. Lots and lots of meat. Why can't we have some meat? Trip Boom on Rumble. Good morning, Clankers. Love the show. Sticks, can I get a shout out? I started a new channel, Pax's Little Reef on Rumble. YouTube, Twitter to show off my salt water tank, and we'll see where things go from there. Okay, you have Pax's Little Reef on Rumble, YouTube, and Twitter. An official shout out, and you became a monthly supporter. Again, I'm still not 100% sure how that works, but I thank you for your monthly support anyway. Sigil Stone, I'm starting to be partial to the idea of legislators being cloistered away like ascetic monks post-election and taking away access to all means of financial gain and, of course, hard term limits. I don't care if they have some financial gain capabilities. There just needs to be much more disclosure about them. They should be on public document for people to read about. Oh, you got $10 million from sales from your book, and 9 million of them were from China, even though it's a book in English. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Happens all the time with Pelosi. Transylvanian 90. Which 2020 problem states have defortified, though? Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania are all clearly in solid Dem hands today. Georgia is run by the same rhinos as before. Well, Georgia would be an example. Arizona could go in that direction over the coming year, where we're waiting to see. I would say Pennsylvania is not unlikely to actually have that switch. If you got to understand, the 2022, like the Senate races and stuff like that, gubernatorial races even, don't directly impact the finance laws for campaigns, the voting laws, et cetera, as much as the legislature. The Republicans did well, generally speaking, on that token, and MAGA did form a composite of that doing well. Big boy, Zelensky did actually meet with BlackRock to discuss post-war reconstruction. Look it up. I did a video on the topic when it first came out. I was incredulous and thought it was a meme until I saw that it was actually real. Next news story, CIA solicited signatures for Hunter Biden laptop letter. Congressional testimony shows, yes, the CIA was directly responsible, in part, for the famous letter by Intel officials claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop releases were Russian disinfo, which has been discredited. We know Russia had nothing to do with it. The laptop existed. It got seized by the FBI. You can't seize something that's not real. The content on it that was disclosed has been corroborated over and over. It's been looked into forensically, even by legacy media, and corroborated. They just managed to wait until after the election to tell people that that was the case. Of course, coincidental timing. We're now finding that the CIA was involved directly with this. RFK Jr. really should be Trump's running mate, I suppose. They've got the same familial issue now with the same dreaded intel agency, the Central Intelligence Agency. Maybe they should team up after all. It won't happen, but a man can dream. It'd be interesting to see them try to hammer out some sort of agreement on gun control or the environment, but we'll get past that for the moment. This is a major scandal. The CIA should not have been involved, again, in a political manner, with getting these signatures. that they, at the time, they're claiming that they didn't know were false, but, you should have. There was no corroboration. The assumption should be something's bullshit until there's some evidence that it's not bullshit. If you're told something by somebody, especially a spectacular claim, normally you assume it's bullshit until they prove otherwise, or at least give you some decent evidence otherwise. The exact opposite. At a bare minimum, our intel agencies took the word of other individuals with regards to the Hunter Biden laptop at face value without any corroborating shred of evidence whatsoever. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that they knew it was probably bullshit or was objectively bullshit and put it out anyway. I lean towards the latter, by the way. By the way, the baby's acting up again, so I'll keep these last two very quick. Please do not send me any more money. I'm officially asking you to not pay me at this time. George Santos was briefly in federal custody, made bond, and he's now under numerous indictments. I would like to point out something cautionary. George Santos is trying to dovetail his indictment with what's happening legally with Trump. Don't take the bait. George Santos, in his sleaze bag ins and outs over the last few years, he does appear to be guilty, if not of all 13 counts on the indictment. I have a feeling that he is going to end up in federal prison. Fraud, false statements to Congress, whatever, for whatever that's worth. Theft of public funds, wire fraud, money laundering, and so on and so on forth. It's been unsealed. This is not the same as Donald Trump. Donald Trump was kangaroo courted on artificially upgraded charges that normally would be misdemeanors in a purely partisan show of force for political reasons. He then gets found civilly liable against Jean Carroll. That'll be appealed for, again, frivolous charges. It's bullshit. Santos is facing legit accounts, and he's trying to hide behind Trump more than he's trying to use Trump as a bullet shield right now. Well, they're doing this as a kangaroo court. It's politically bullshit. No. George Santos is probably guilty. I would like to see more evidence against him. I'm not going to crucify him in his presumed guilt because I believe in presuming innocence until proven guilty, but it's not Trump. George Santos does not have the clout of Trump. He doesn't piss off the establishment enough to be able to justify, well, I got indicted because they just want me out of Congress. They don't care if you're in Congress, George. They literally don't care. People have speculated that you were a sleazebag for some time. You are not Donald Trump. And trying to dovetail it with him, basically it's just going to harm Trump when he does this. So he should shut the fuck up. And his lawyer is telling him to shut the fuck up, apparently. Dry Raven 3RVN, Orange Man Big, had me in stitches. Thanks, Stitch. Thanks, Sticks. Yes, part 2 coming soon. And then the final news story again in brief. Pakistan is being rocked right now by protests and riots as Imran Khan's fans clash with the fucking police and military. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point there are some defections there. I'm beginning to smell a rat here with regards to Pakistan and Imran Khan. I think that the visceral reaction to Imran Khan's mere existence is not without good reason for the establishment there. I think they want to go more full globalism, and Imran Khan doesn't fully agree with that and has a little bit more of a nationalistic bent at times. And so they're trying to suppress his movement because they don't want him in power. For the same reason Bolsonaro was Hong Kong, for the same reason they didn't like Trump, et cetera, et cetera. Imran Khan is not necessarily the most collegial person. He's got some weird views. That being said, for what little it's worth, he seems to be more nationalistic. And so Imran Khan, a celebrated and award-winning cricket player originally, before he got that office, by the way, he was literally in cricket. He was playing that and got elected prime minister. He has been detained, actually. The funny part is, and this is really what raises alarm bells, he was participating in their bullshit by going to a court to get fingerprinted and processed and so forth when he got detained. He was there. He willfully went to the court, and that's when the police decided to spring the trap. When he was in a court of law, he was doing what he was supposed to do under Pakistani law. That makes it a little bit more suspicious to me, just slightly. I think that there's something deeply wrong there, and I'm not surprised. I suppose if I was Pakistani and I didn't support globalism, I'd probably be rioting at the moment too. So Yeah. Anyway, to the roughly 5,000 people that tuned in live, I thank you very much. Again, there is a link in the description or pinned above if on YouTube to Orange Man Big. I appreciate it when you buy a copy of that because it's somehow becoming one of the more popular works there, despite the fact that it is effectively a joke manuscript like 101 commie jokes, also available on Amazon. I thank you very much, and I'll go offline in a moment. Sparky, U.S. regime changed Imran Khan. Yes, the Western world was involved with the ousting of Imran Khan. That is true. So yeah, reminder, I will go live tomorrow about the same time, maybe a little earlier, actually, because I won't have any driver's stuff to do. By the way, that went well. I didn't crash the car. Some people are actually trying to jump down my throat about that and say, Styx doesn't know how to drive a car, and he's like 35. Styx does know how to drive a car. Styx is just not fully aware of European road rules because Styx was born and raised in the United States. Yeah, you get that a lot. Obfuscation by people that just don't fucking like you. So it's gotten so old at this point, it's barely even amusing. Think up some better jokes about me. Go back to calling me a cross-dresser or something. At least that's entertaining. That's about all.